Hi guys, here we are. It's episode 3 of MindsetBros Unfiltered. It's a new setup and it's a couple of new faces. So I'm going to start off by just introducing those guys. To my left, I've got Mark. Say hi, Mark.
Hi, Barry.
Hello. Who are you, Mark? Introduce yourself.
My name's Mark Lowndes. I work in construction. Been in construction for 35 plus years. Yeah, that's pretty much me.
Brilliant. And you're a director at MindsetBros, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
On the side, yeah, absolutely. Director of MindsetBros for about the last 9 months now.
Fab. Excellent. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
And to my right, my good friend Pete, who joins me every week for a walk and talk.
Hello.
Say hi.
Hi. Hi. I'm Pete Woodford. I'm a driver for Plum Centre Newport. That's about it, really. Most of my life is based around playing music in marching bands or in concert bands. And here we are. I've been made a MindsetBros ambassador, which I was absolutely honoured and such a privilege to be asked. And I've been just over a year associated with MindsetBros. It's my first meetup.
Top man. Welcome to the pod as well, and it's great to have you both on. We've got loads to talk about today. We're going to start by addressing some of the stuff that's on my table here. So I wanted to just give a quick shout out to my friend Kira, who gave us our first fan mail, which is a lovely little note. It says, you guys should be so proud of the difference you're making to so many lives, including mine. Congratulations. Lots of love, Kira. And she sent us these amazing brownies, which we're going to tuck into in the break. Mark's rubbing his hands together there. So we're going to tuck into those. Thank you so much, Kira. We really appreciate that. And yeah, we are making a difference. We do feel that. The feedback on the last episode was incredible, just like the first one. And we also want to send a shout out to Jake and Ross for being on last week. Jake was so brave sharing his story, and yeah, lots of positive feedback, comments, direct messages, etc. as well. We got a bit of merch out as well, so mugs, snapback hats. We've got loads of these available if people want these, and these books look amazing and they feel so nice as well. So get on the merch site. There's loads of good stuff at mindsetbros.org .co.uk .com. I knew it. That's mindsetbros.com. So, Mark, I wanted to ask you first, actually, if possible, how did you get here? How did you become a director of MindsetBros? What led you to Ross? I think you've told me briefly, but expand on it a little bit.
Yeah, so basically, I'm in a network group out of Newport. We meet up on Thursdays. And probably a little bit over 2 years ago, Ross started attending the Thursday morning events for networking, and just naturally, as you do, I think really what it boils down to is like-minded people kind of gravitate towards each other. So very quickly we became, friendly. We'd always chill out, have a nice breakfast, have a good chat, good conversation. Probably about the same time as like Martin Fulp was also getting involved as well, and I kind of got wind from Ross and Martin that there was this men's mental health group being set up, and then, before I knew it, Ross is like, mate, do you want to come down? Let's do a walk and talk down in Ryde. So, yeah, rain, sleet, hail, sunshine, gale force winds, 5 a.m, find myself waking up and then heading down to Apley Tower, which now, funny enough, I've taken over that Apley Tower walk, but I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. anymore. It's 6 o'clock in the evening on a Thursday evening. And that's pretty much, that's pretty much the course, good conversations with Ross on Monday mornings.
Yeah.
Sharing burdens, sharing, thoughts, full processes, stresses and strains we were going through at the time. And I think from that, again, it just goes back to being like-minded, and you kind of gravitate towards each other and you find almost like a kin, or as we now know, a brother. And that's basically when Ross, said, mate, do you want to start taking over the walk on a Thursday? Absolutely.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Amazing.
Massively see the benefit of it.
Amazing. Thank you. That's brilliant. And we love having you here. You're a brilliant director. Brilliant
Thanks.
to have you part of it. And a different voice. And we'll come on to that in a bit, because you've got that construction background.
Yeah.
You're in a world where it's male dominated, fair to say. And also men probably don't feel like they can speak to somebody. So having you there and knowing what you do on the side is probably really powerful for your guys. Pete, what about you then? So how did you find MindsetBros? What made you come along?
Well, mainly to do with grief, I suppose. I've since 2011, I'd lost probably about 12 family members passed away. So that's like aunties, uncles, whole generations, basically all in one go. My mum, my dad, my not adopted dad, but the person I called my adoptive dad was the last person that I lost just last year. But in the midst of that, my brother died at the age of 48. We were just like best friends, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a loss that has been really hard to take. Still is.
Of course.
It really is. And part of the process, I was asked to stand up and, if I wanted to, do his eulogy, which I did. Probably the hardest half hour I've ever had to do in my whole life, if anything. In front of 1,000 people in St Thomas's Church in Newport, because he was such a popular guy.
Yeah.
And I still reel from, him not being there.
Of course.
Yeah, it does hit hard.
Grief is a really complex thing and takes a long time. People say time is a great healer, but I find with grief that time actually doesn't heal straight away, because you're sort of going through those firsts without that person or with those people in your case.
And with that, it was like you lose the first person and you think, you get into the grieving process, but then someone else and then someone else, and it just kept compounding, kept rolling on and rolling on. And then amongst that was work colleagues as well.
Yeah.
People that I was really close with. And it was just, it got to the point where I couldn't go to people's services at crematorium or whatever, because it was just too much. It was too much to take. And it boiled up so many memories all the time. So, yeah, it's a tough process. And I'm still, like, you can probably tell, I'm still struggling. I still do struggle.
Yeah, of course.
Hannah got me onto MindsetBros.
So that's your partner?
So that's my wife.
Yeah. Wife, that's right.
Yeah, she obviously met Ross through the networking events on Thursday mornings as well, and suggested to me about going along. That would be the day before I decided I was going to do it. I spent about half an hour on the crisis line, NHS crisis line, sat in Blacksmith's Arms car park in my van, absolutely bawling my eyes out. By the time I got back to work, my boss had to take me home, bawling my eyes out. And I spent 2 days, everything just got on top of me, all in one go. Yeah. And it was just a release, I think, more than anything. But I decided that, I'm going to pursue MindsetBros. So I went to my first meetup at the Wheatsheaf. Wow, what a night. I was so skeptical about going, because I'm not great with strange, being in a ring full of strangers, if you like. But, from then to now, these people aren't strangers. You're all brothers. And that's it. And that's how I treat you, and that's how I look at you.
Love that.
Very special.
Love that. We look at you in the same way, and we appreciate you sharing your story a little bit there. Did you feel you had a lot of support while you were going through all that? Were there certain people that supported you well and certain others didn't?
Hannah was a big rock.
Yeah.
Obviously, she had enough of her own stuff to go through as well, but having to put up with me was always a bit of a struggle.
Yeah. I can attest.
Just on a normal day. But my best friend, Rich Ran, I've been trying to get him to come along, but he's still very skeptical about coming. Not sure he wants to, so he doesn't think it's comfortable enough for him to do it. But I've got other friends along as well that have started coming along with us, and they all appreciate what's been going on, but they've been supportive of me as well. So I'm trying to offer them something back to help them as well.
Love it. I love that. I'm going to give you a little break, but thank you. Marky, then over to you. So let's touch on the sort of construction side of things then. So we talked about it briefly when we met up the other day. You're in an industry where men don't know where to turn, right? What kind of issues do you face? What kind of things come across your desk from your colleagues?
I mean, lucky enough, I think I've built a very supportive environment of work, and certainly our managing director is very supportive as well. And what we find is, a lot of the time, if you're coming under stress, you're coming under pressure at work, talk about it. And what we got is a very a helpful culture within the office, where we help each other, lean on each other. You know, our workloads vary, so we try and make sure that those are kept equal and shared, so that, you know, no one gets too much pressure on them, too much stress. In terms of, I mean, lucky enough, we work a lot in the residential, you know, industry in the Isle of Wight, which is a little bit different than the commercial sector where I first initially started. The commercial sector is, you know, big sites. I worked in Docklands on a 10-year project.
Yeah.
Where the restrooms and the canteen, you know, would hold 1,500 workers at a time. And what you'd find a lot of the time is, you know, and being young as well, you know, and not really paying attention, you see these guys just kind of sitting over by themselves at lunch, you know, and you're sitting there with your work colleagues having a laugh and joke, not really paying much attention, you know, maybe the odd quip about loner, that kind of stuff. Looking back now, that person was probably struggling, you know, either with home issues, anxiety, you know, some problems, potentially, you know, deaths or, you know, people passing away. But obviously at the time you're oblivious to it. So what I like now is the culture now is it's a lot more open. The HSC, you know, I've got a lot of guidance out. There's huge amounts of training, you know, mental health at work, first aid, you know, suicide awareness. So it's really good to see that the trends completely changed now.
Yeah.
And it's okay to actually talk, you know, if you're stressed, you know, anxiety, you're facing some problems,
Yeah.
you know, it's a lot more open now to talk.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I love that as well. And did you speak to your director about this podcast? Because you said that she'd been through some stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. We had a conversation probably about an hour and a half ago. And she's like, yeah, no, go, great. Come. You know, I look forward to watching it and enjoy it and have fun.
Great.
So yeah, now very, very, again, it's a very open, supportive community that we've got.
Yeah.
At work.
Brilliant. I love that. Thank you again for sharing. That's brilliant. So Pete, tell me a bit more then about sort of what happened to you during that time with the people that weren't so supportive, because you don't have to name names or anything like that, but you had a few issues through all that.
With one of my previous employers, they showed very little support, to the point that one day, the day after, they wouldn't let me go and sit and visit my mum when she was really going downhill in the hospital, and unfortunately she died that day. And so that was in the afternoon. Excuse me. So went to the hospital to obviously meet with the rest of the family and stuff like that, because they obviously had no choice to let me go.
Yeah.
And then the next day I got a phone call halfway through receiving a death certificate saying, why aren't you at work? And things like that. And I'm like, wow, that's just amazing. It was similar with other family members. It was like, yeah, you go home today, but you're back tomorrow and all that. There was no sort of, no leniency in that, whereas a lot of other managers and other departments of that company would say I wouldn't have got you back for probably a few days until you're ready, sort of thing. And I think I was dragged back to work too quick on pretty much all occasions. But apart from my brother, that one was that was a different manager completely. Okay. That was my manager at the time, and he was so supportive. Yeah, and he was proper people person. Yeah. But he didn't last long there. So, unfortunately.
And do you think that, I've lost my train of thought completely here, but do you think the expectation on you then was to man up? Is that the kind of vibe that you got from
you've got to come in, the company's got to keep going, you've got to come in, do your job.
Man up, get on with it. Yeah.
Basically.
And that's something we're fighting at MindsetBros, isn't it? Man up. Yeah. We don't say man up, we say speak up. Yeah. We'd rather that people talked about it, had those open conversations, had those vulnerable moments like you guys are having and sharing with us now. Because how can someone know what someone's going through? To your point about the loner situation, when you see someone sat on their own and you're young, you have a laugh with your mates. Yeah. Everyone does it. Yeah. Every single person does it. But you look back and you go, and you know what, actually, he was probably struggling, and I didn't see that. I didn't even think of it in that way, and that's how we're sort of trying to think of it now. Yeah. Are you able to tell the story of your director and sort of what happened recently?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So within the company, quite a few years ago, when I first joined where I currently work, the director has just come back from having surgery on his brain to remove part of his brain due to a brain tumour. So I didn't really get to meet the managing director as such for about 9 months. Anyway, when he was finally well enough to return to work, he came on, got to know him really well, very like-minded. So easy, you know, I was drawn to him straight away. Excellent managing director, just what you want. Led from the front, but kept everyone next to him as well.
Yeah.
You know, and very much, you know, always cracking jokes, having a good laugh. And obviously, I've worked on some really big projects, you know, so I've kind of been around, know roughly what I'm doing, I hope. And so from that, we got a really good rapport going. Do anything for him. You know, it's just one of these people that you could really, you know, get drawn to. And probably about a year in from his recovery, we had a conversation one day on a job site, and he said, "Oh, you know, they've done a follow-up scan, and it looks like there's a bit of a shadow, which they're putting down a scarring." So I didn't really think nothing of it. And then unfortunately, you know, several months later, it proved to be the tumour had come back and was more aggressive, 4 times bigger.
Blimey.
And unfortunately, from his perspective, I think he went downhill pretty quick, which was a shame. You know, I like good people.
Yeah.
And he was a good person. And I remember the very last conversation I had with him was, we were talking about a job that I was looking at and quoting, and he just said, "Mark, I trust you. You know, I trust you." And I said, "Thanks for that." And that's pretty much the last conversation we had. And then several months later, he passed away.
Yeah.
After the Christmas period. That particular period in time was really tough as well within the company, because not only have you lost a generally good managing director and a good person, but a couple of weeks after that, we also had an issue where, not an issue, but an apprentice that was well known amongst all the workers was killed in a car accident. So obviously within the company, we're not only trying to deal with the loss of a managing director and respecting the family, you know, that continued beyond him, but also now mourning the loss of an apprentice. So it really affected the company from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the workforce, you know, you've got the thing of like the unknowns. What's going to happen to the company? Is it going to continue? You know, is his family going to sell the company on? Which I'm glad to say hasn't.
It hasn't. And that unknown period can be years, right? It can be a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I mean, it took a while, you know, to figure out, and naturally, you know, to figure out what his wife wanted to do, and she wanted to continue with the company. You know, very much family orientated, behind everyone fully. Amazing support as well.
Great.
You know, and that's the thing that we're trying to introduce. We've certainly introduced it in our company, that the support is literally across the board.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are, what you do. You know, if you need some time off, you know, you can take some time off. It's not a problem. If you're under a lot of stress, we try and delegate the work out to reduce the load, and certainly try and get people out, you know, and the help they need.
Nice.
And she's amazingly supportive, obviously, me and what I do.
Yeah.
And I think she can see the benefit. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a tough time. Trying to keep everyone buoyed up.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of uncertainty, as
Yeah,
you said, and a lot of
absolutely.
upset as well. And completely different situation to what you had before. But you're in a great place now, Pete. Great company. Do you feel like you'd be a lot more supported now, I think?
Oh, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
more supported. Yeah. Obviously, coming on board with MindsetBros, you know, there probably not a lot of people know about my background in that, to be fair.
No.
Because I'm not a great person for sharing problems and stuff like that. Never have been. Hannah have definitely testified to that.
Yeah.
It's something I'm still trying to work on, being, you know, more open and about problems and things like that instead of bottling it up. But I've always been like that ever since I was little. I was always at school, and my mum got a phone call from the primary school saying, "You need to take him to a psychiatrist because he doesn't talk." And my mum said, "I'm not taking him to a psychiatrist because he'll talk when he wants to." I said, "And when he does talk, watch your out because he'll just keep going." So,
How right she was.
yeah.
and to be fair to you as well, I never knew what brought you to MindsetBros. So, you know, and we've known each other now, 18 months, something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah, it's all, you know, it's lots of little things that all just mount up together to
Yeah.
make it all. So yeah, the
Massive.
important bit and you know, obviously the grieving, trying to grieve, and you know, it's plateaued out. I've not really, obviously last year was my last loss is that I've really felt sort of thing. So I'm now getting back into that settling down and properly grieving, if you like, over. But it just brings back everyone that you grieve, because it's like the people you didn't get the chance to grieve because then someone else had gone and then someone else, you know, and it's horrendous. I know that one of our fellow brothers, I've spoken to him about it as well, and he was feeling the same with one of his with loss as well. And he said that when he phoned the NHS and said about getting help over that, they were like, "Wow, you've had a." And then he heard what I said, and he went, "Wow." He said that puts me on a little bit, but
yeah,
I said it doesn't. It's not meant to put anyone's to.
no,
Everyone's got different, and there's no right way to grieve. There's no wrong way to grieve. You know, people have their own ways, but you've got to get there in the end, and you've got to take little steps to get to that point where you can finally settle down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sort it out.
It's such a complex thing, grief, and a friend of mine's been going through some stuff this week actually, and it is so unique to you, and it's so unique to how you deal with things and everything. So it's fair to say with Mindset Bros, you get out of it what I get out of it really, which is just that sort of camaraderie and being around blokes, having a chat with other blokes, and sort of sharing stories. Yeah,
I've gained a lot of brothers, and also what I would like to call a best friend.
Yeah. Nice.
Yourself.
Oh, mate, cheers. I was thinking the same about you. I hope he says me, I was thinking. Yeah, well, you're never coming back on this pod again.
That's
so,
fine.
Look, let's take a little break. We're going to have some brownies, and we'll be right back after a word from one of our sponsors.
PC Consultants, the hugely successful Isle of Wight IT company, announces with great sadness the loss of Sean Coulson, their chairman and one of the company's original two founders, who alongside Mike Parsons gave the PC to PC Consultants. Sean had been the driving force in the success of the company since it was founded over 30 years ago, and instilled an ethos of providing opportunity for people irrespective of background and academic achievement, reflected in the company receiving the King's Award for Enterprise in 2025 at Osborne House, which Sean attended. Sean will be remembered not only for the success of the company he founded, but for the many charities, good causes and individuals that he has supported as a friend and a sponsor, including Mindset Bros from the very beginning. A huge shock to everyone who knew him, and he will be sadly missed.
Welcome back, guys. Those brownies were banging. I think we can all agree.
They were so nice.
I had a chocolate orange one. It was lush.
Don't be afraid to send more.
Yeah, please. That was going to be my next point, actually. Yeah. If you want to send us gifts, we're open to it. And we made sure we didn't eat them over this white table as well, because that would have been a nightmare. I just wanted to share a quick story, though, from the last couple of weeks where a guy has approached Mindset Bros because he was in a bit of a hole. He didn't know how to get out of it. And what I've seen, without going into details, from the group of brothers and group of men involved, has been amazing. 3 or 4 people stuck their hand up and said they'd help him. Essentially, he needs to move some stuff from A to B, and he hasn't got a van, and he hasn't got, the health to be able to do it himself. And there's a lot of furniture involved. And these 3 or 4 people have stuck their hand up and said they'll give up their day off or a bit of time at work to go help him. We were able to source a couple of vans for him as well. My cousin even is female, Mel. Hi, Mel. She's going to go along and provide snacks and vibes and a couple of other things as well. And just being able to see these people come together and help somebody in that way has been so nice to see, and it really sort of restores your faith in humanity. So just a big shout out to everyone involved in helping. Off the top of my head, that's Martin, Jake, Charlie, possibly Carl. Can't say thank you, Carl, yet because he's a maybe. But Mel as well, guys. We really appreciate you. And community comes together in so many different ways. And Mark's actually got a bit of a story. You've had a bit of a story like that lately with your work, haven't you? Can you share any news on that?
Yeah. So we basically had a conversation one day in the office about DIY SOS, and one of our workers had seen like an advert going out for DIY SOS in Southampton. So we, basically you put an application form in, put your hand up as you do in the group, and just offered some help. And we're on DIY SOS. Put together a team, sent them over from the Isle of Wight to Southampton for a week basically. They absolutely loved it because they're getting breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all cooked freshly. So definitely no complaints on the food front about mouldy ham sandwiches or melted butter or any of that. But I think for us as well, obviously we get back, there's a sense of purpose, giving back to those less fortunate than yourselves, stepping in to help out. It's coming up in February, end of February, I believe. So we'll obviously put the date out there and let us know. But yeah, in essence, they've been ripped off by a cowboy builder. Life savings gone. Very unfortunate. Unfortunately, it does happen. But yeah, I think the sense of achievement from the workers going over, not one of them grumbled, getting up silly o'clock in the morning, 5 a.m., getting on the 6 a.m. ferry, getting off to Southampton and ready, and putting maximum effort in throughout the day. We made sure the apprentices were involved in that, explain to them why. It's not always about taking, it's about giving back as well.
Yeah, big time. And having that sense of helping somebody is so powerful for your mental health. Is you feel like you're helping somebody and it makes you feel good just naturally. What was the stat you told me about the amount of people that came and helped? Can you remember that?
Yeah, so basically on the top of my head, what they told us on the first day was that there was the biggest turnout they'd ever seen.
Wow.
For one of their, programs. And it was very enjoyable. I mean, me personally, I didn't actually do a thing other than turn up on day one, eat a donut and some coffee.
That surprises me, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. And then got the lads through the induction and wished them all the best. And then we obviously went back on the last day because we were asked to attend. Respect to all the lads. I mean, yes, I know they're paid, to go over, but a lot of them didn't see it that way.
Sure.
And I actually, when we were kind of figuring out shift changes, one of the lads, the first thing comment out of his mouth was, "Please don't take us off this. I want to see it all the way through."
Wow.
And I'm like, "No, I'm just asking you who you need next week. Not worried about whether we're going to be taking you off." But yeah, it's community, isn't it? It's giving back. Helping those that are less fortunate than yourself is no different than Mindset Bros.
Absolutely.
We're here. Hold your hand up. You need help. People are coming.
Yeah.
They're going to help you out. And we've seen that recently, haven't we? So,
yes.
like you said.
In lots of different ways. But this one in particular in the last couple of weeks has been really great to see. And the people that put their hand up are people that mean a lot to us in this room. And they've been, thanked appropriately, but we can't thank them enough, really. We've seen a bit of it lately, actually. We had some flooding last night over here. And I don't know about you, but all I could see on Facebook was people offering to come out with their vans and help and get people out of situations, whether they're stuck or whether their car's stuck or whether there's drains need unblocking and things like that. Pete, touch on that for you. What does helping other people mean for you? Because from my point of view, you come along on the walk every Saturday. You're an ambassador. You're at every event. You're there as sort of life and soul of the event. So do you get a sense of sort of achievement for helping other people?
Most of my life has been based around helping other people or giving to the community, one way or another. My mum and dad were like scout leaders, club leaders and stuff, so I went along and did that, and then became a leader myself. With my marching bands, I became like an instructor, so teaching other drummers. One or two have gone on to be in the Royal Marines.
Wow.
But so that's not purely because of me, but I helped set them off, But and teaching, kids how to play music sometimes, and be part of a band and be part of a community group, stuff like that. Give them something to do rather than sit at home watching telly being on the Xbox or whatever. Anything like that. We give back, as a band, and I've always done that. I've been doing it for 40 odd years.
Yeah.
So, carnivals every year, I've not missed a single season in 40 years. And been lucky enough to get all round Britain, play in France and that for Bastille Day celebrations. I've done that a lot. Played for the Queen twice. I played for various members of the royal family.
Wow.
So yeah, Royal Albert Hall things. So yeah, it's a very fulfilling thing to do for kids, is to learn music. It's not it's not a trendy thing to do, but it's such a skill. And my sense of giving something. I'm giving something to the community because we attend events and we help raise money for various charities all over. Always, you know, and that's what it's all about. You go out and entertain people, go and enjoy it. You're helping to raise money for various things, and that's what it's all about. And if I'm allowed to plug it, we've got a.
Please do.
As I mentioned, that the person I call my adoptive dad passed away last year. Where I sort of had the mindset that I wanted to organise a memorial concert for him, which we've got coming up on the 15th of February at Cowes Trinity Theatre, raising money for the air ambulance, basically.
Brilliant.
So, and it's been going along. It's been 2 years in the making, and we're nearly there at last. We're nearly over the line, but it's been a lot of stress and a lot of stress and tears and hard work. But finally, it's nice to get there. I shall be playing in that also. I'll be giving a bit of a speech as well. So, you know.
And that's the 15th, did you say?
That's 15th, Sunday the 15th, yeah, 2 o'clock. £5 a ticket is a bargain, to be honest, for the level of musicianship we've got on the Isle of Wight.
It's brilliant.
And people we've got coming from the mainland to come and play as well and help out.
It's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
And the message is really, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling like you can't do stuff, there's so many different things people can do. I would never have thought of doing your job, for example, when I was a kid. You know, that never came up in my sort of mindset. Even yours, Mark, as well. It never sort of crossed my mind that, maybe I'll build stuff, you know. But I feel like with some of the people I've met lately who are feeling a bit lonely, they don't realise what's out there. There's so much out there. You've just got to just think, like, what do I like doing, or what did I never get to do that I could have done? And the message is, try something.
Yeah.
Try the bands. Try,
Yeah.
you know, all sorts of stuff. Cubs. I've got to shout out Beavers. They're all pretty much led by parents of kids, right?
Volunteers.
All volunteers, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely brilliant as an organisation. So yeah, get involved in that, guys. If you've got nothing on and you've got a bit of spare time, try and find something and get on it. Mark, give us another sort of story from your workplace. Is there any other sort of wins that you guys have had lately where you felt like you've really helped somebody out? Oh, I'm putting you right on the spot. Sorry, mate.
Kind of stay out of left field.
It's because he's giggling at me, and I'll try not to look at him.
Crank the pressure up. God, off the top of my head, there isn't.
Great, Pete.
Nice. Sorry.
That's fine. Don't worry.
No pre-warning.
Yeah, no pre-warning at all. Yes, that's absolutely right. Pete, any other examples you can think of sort of like great community moments that you've seen lately?
Well, one of our fellow brothers, Jamie, does an awful lot with unblocking drains and stuff like that. And particularly last year when we were having real bad floods, I remember him literally going out, helping anyone out, drop of a hat. He's come along to some of our meetups. Yeah, I'm just popping to say hello, and then I've got to go and help someone do it. He's always on the go. And, you know, big shout out to Jamie, because I know he's done a lot of work around this site when Hannah was the site manager, and he used to come out and help out a lot, you know, drop of a hat. You know, top guy.
He's a great guy.
Top guy. You don't see a lot of him, but he's always busy.
He's out helping people.
Exactly, yes, yeah.
Yeah. The other example I could think of is Charlie, as one of our ambassadors. He went recently over to the mainland to give water out when they had a water shortage. And he just loaded up his van full of bottles of water and went up there and did it selflessly and did it for those reasons, sort of thing. And I personally wish I could do more of that. I wish I did more of that. I wish I was part of more of that. So it's certainly something I'm looking to do in the next sort of this year as sort of a New Year's resolution, is to help out a bit more. Ross keeps giggling at me and I hate him.
I mean, if you're, I can wind the clocks back to like the summer. One of our contracts is we manage properties for a care home charity across the Isle of Wight and the south of the UK. And literally right at the last minute, their annual summer barbecue, had a phone call from one of their head volunteers. It was like, Mark, listen, mate, our whole barbecue, the whole summer event is basically gone because your person that's going to come and barbecue for us, he's not able to make it. Can you help out, please? Like, yes, within a week we had a barbecue on site. Myself, three or four workers jumped in for the day, did all the cooking. No one died, thank God. Got sick, which is amazing.
Yeah.
No, I'm a bit of a barbecue king on the quiet, but absolutely amazing day. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the lads that turned up as well really enjoyed it. You know, mixing with it, you know, the retired community. You know, it's good. So it is giving back. I mean, obviously, you did put me on the spot. So.
I did. You're right. You're right. I did.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's the kind of thing that, you know, really spurs me on. Stepping in, helping out people, you know, as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It's
brilliant.
good. Pay it forward.
Yeah, definitely pay it forward. And we've all been in situations where we wish we had a bit of extra help. And I actually, from the guy that we're helping that I touched on earlier that needs to move some stuff, and he's literally moving it 50 yards down the road, 100 yards down the road. He might be moving elsewhere as well. And some stuff's got to go to different places. But I had that similar situation 2017-ish. We were leaving a house that we had to leave because of the chain. We had to get out of it and then move into the other one a couple of weeks later. So we just needed a 2-week stay over. And we had a bit of furniture and it was like, what do we do here? And someone said, oh, I've got some storage space. And then a couple of mates came around and helped. There was a guy called Simon. Shout out to Simon if you're watching. I used to play cricket against him. He was an opponent. And he said, yeah, I'll come give you a hand for a couple of hours. I bought him a few beers and he came and helped. And like that sense of like having those people around you to come and help is great. But if you haven't got that, it must be so hard if you sort of haven't got that sort of support around you. We're going to take a little bit of a break again. We're going to hear from another sponsor. We'll be back right after this.
This week's episode is sponsored by White Life Group, a property investment and development business that restores and repurposes character buildings across the Isle of Wight, including their newly refurbished boutique serviced office space in the heart of Newport.
So welcome back, guys. We're back here for part 3. And I just wanted a couple more questions and then we'll wind up. But Mark, you're qualified. You've got a few qualifications that help you with being a director here. One of them in mental health, a level 2 in mental health. What other qualifications did you go out and seek?
Mental health first aider. Looking also to do the suicide awareness. Working with a few other senior ranking managers on other companies. I wasn't able to go on the suicide awareness course, but within 1 or 2 days of these other managers going to do this course, I started getting phone calls from them. They also want to collaborate with MindsetBros. We had a good chat about what it involves, and we want to get this stuff out into site welfare facilities, canteens, toilets, about suicide awareness and picking up on signs. There's a long list. I mean, the training never stops, you know, so it's constant, which is good.
Yeah. So. And you've also got level 2 mental health and mental illness.
Mental health, mental illness, level 2. And obviously currently doing level 2 counselling at the moment.
Amazing. Yeah. And you find that helps when you have conversations with people if they come to you and...
Absolutely. In a bizarre way, you actually to be able to put what you're learning into practice as well, you know, which is somewhat therapeutic in a bit of a way. It gives you a practice level. But yeah, I'm one of these people who like to be challenged. Yeah. You know, constantly. So
yeah, top man. Brilliant. And Pete, in your case then, so we talked about sort of what led you to MindsetBros, how you got here with help from your wife, who I saw today, by the way. She helped you get here. What kind of help do you get and how does it help you?
Well, I did mention I'm not very good with like big crowds, with people I don't really know very well sort of thing. I think it goes back to being like at school. I was bullied at school, through middle school, high school. I was bullied at one of my first jobs when I left school, which was quite very traumatic, to be honest. Took me down sort of places I didn't want to be. Heavy drinking, overeating, stuff like that. But with excuse me, with MindsetBros, I felt a bit awkward for the first one, but that went within about 5-10 minutes of walking in the door, because everyone like, oh, how you doing? I'm shake hand, you know, I'm whoever I am, or you are, and talk, you know, how you doing? You know, everything all right, and that. And everyone's the same. Everyone that comes through the door gets hellos, and you know, there's no pressure to speak to anyone. If you don't want to, you don't have to speak up. Like I say, one of my other things is about communicating, but I don't feel pressure to communicate. I do like to communicate because I feel relaxed. You know, really relaxed. It's given me a sense of being able to cope with other things. And the other thing I like about it is I've been able to encourage like a couple of friends to come along that have benefited from being part of Mindset Bros as well. So I'm already giving something back to somebody else from my experiences. And yeah, I love it. The Mindset Bros. My kids asked me one day what happens at Mindset Bros. What's it like? And basically, I just said to them, it's just like a youth club for adults.
Yeah.
But they don't understand what a youth club is anyway, because there's not so many youth clubs around nowadays. But for people in our generation, that's what it is. You can go and you can be who you want to be. No pressure or anything like that. You can join in. You don't have to join in, and it's great.
Yeah.
And you get that sense of when I walk out, it's like can't wait for the next one. Can't wait for the walk and talk. The walk and talk. It's you just go out, get some exercise. You go and meet your friends. Basically,
Yeah.
it's another way of meeting your friends, and it's great.
Yeah. Brilliant. And I'd certainly felt the same as you when I went to my first 2 events. I almost didn't go. And the second one actually was when I met you. And I was sat in the car thinking, I could do without this tonight. Got a lot going on. And I eventually just thought, no, I'm here. I'm parked. Let's just go. And then I met you.
Yeah.
And that's how great it can be by just taking that step over the threshold. I met my new best mate. So yeah, it's been brilliant. Mark, same question to you then. What do you get out of it? How does it help you? What?
For me, I mean, it's a bit like Pete saying. I remember obviously having the pleasure of knowing Ross beforehand with these events and some of the key players in the initial setup of Mindset Bros. And for me, what I get a lot of the time is it's a bit like work. I don't like to be praised. I don't like to take recognition. But what I'd like to do is just sit back and observe. And when you go to these events with Mindset Bros, we have people that sometimes sit outside, don't come in and then go. Sometimes sit outside, make a phone call, and someone goes out and then it brings them in, to help them kind of fit in. None of that's needed though, because you walk into these events, they're wide open, open arms. You get to meet people are introducing each other. And for me, sitting back and observing that and just watching people, like the last event, we had a guy turn up a day or 2 before, spoke to his mum, massive anxiety, didn't know if he was going to come along. He explained to her, we don't sit around in circles or complain about our problems. Within 5 minutes of him turning up with all the anxiety issues, he was talking to people that he'd never even known. Within 5 minutes, been welcomed in and almost escorted around the group, being introduced to everyone. And by the end of the night, had loads of offers of help, people's phone numbers. And for me, that's what I get out of that. You're seeing other people, coming in. They might be lost. They might have anxiety, and we're in a few minutes, 10 minutes, end of the night. They're walking out the door. They're complete different. Walk and talk, same thing.
Yeah.
People turn up, they're anxious, withdrawn. 1 hour later, cheerio, you switch numbers and you keep in touch.
Yeah.
And that's what I get from it, is seeing people coming in, getting some type of help from it, and they're coming out of their shell.
Ross mentioned it on one of the previous episodes about how there's like little friendship groups been made out of Mindset Bros now, and our group on a Saturday morning is certainly that. It's just a great group of guys, isn't it? And we just have a great laugh every week. I suppose, Mark, really what I meant there was, how does it help you? Like,
How does it help me?
Yeah. You can go as deep as you want. You don't have to.
It helps me. I think what it does for me as well is doing the the one-on-ones, the walk and talks, seeing other people. I think what that does to me as well is a good leveler. So sometimes in construction you have tough weeks. There's a lot of pressure. Win jobs, tender competitively for jobs, bring the jobs in on budget, managing staff, managing expectations. And when you're doing that, 1 or 2 jobs, that's fine. But my role is to basically oversee all the jobs and the managers, and make sure that everyone's got the help they need. So for me, I think going to these events and what I get to it is I get to see other people's experiences. It gives me a good leveler as well. Because, a lot of the times what I'm going through is anxiety through, are we on budget? Are we over budget? you know, are we going to win this tender, stuff like that. And from that, you know, I see other people's problems, and that doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah.
To me, like the anxiety side of it, it's immaterial.
It makes you think that their problems are worse than yours, and so
100%. It brings a perspective of reality to it.
And we said that before, how they're probably thinking the same about your problems.
100%. Yeah.
Is your anxiety based around sort of how it could affect your colleagues and your friends then? So if you don't win these tenders, they're going to
Absolutely
work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there is that in any kind of any type of company where you're tendering, you know, to win a contract. Absolutely. You know, that is always a constant in the back of your mind. You know, obviously, if you don't win X amount of tenders, you know, the work will dry up. And the reality is, the way I now look at it now is, if we don't win a tender, or that other builder that did win it is now off the list for the next one coming in. So that's one less we've got to compete against.
Yeah.
So it's all about bringing perspectives, you know, into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really helps me out with MindsetBros. You know, look at the most recent, you know, gentleman we're helping, where people have stepped in to help him out and move and stuff like that. Those are problems.
Yeah. And you've spent a lot of time with him, haven't you, one-to-one, having chats and then sort of helping him through stages of what he's going through. It's long-term, everything's long-term, but these little fixes and these little wins are definitely making a big impact. Did you want to talk a bit deeper about sort of what you went through as a youngster? You can say no if you want.
Yeah, I mean, so as a youngster, I've not always been in construction. I got into construction fairly young, 11 years old. Used to go and help my dad, get done with my paper round, go and help him build a brick wall on a Saturday and Sunday. But one of my first jobs, which actually was a job I really loved up until a certain point, I ended up working in the operating theatres as a theatre assistant. Absolutely loved the job, you know, the role, helping out, you know, seeing people come in a bad state, and then, you fix them. You know, they get fixed, and a week later you see them, you know, hopping around, maybe in a wheelchair, going out of hospital. So yeah, that was good. It was a very rewarding job in that respect. Up until about 5 years in, we had a really bad run of RTAs, road traffic accidents, coming in, which coincided with school returning. So September, and it was my final week in the career, because that week we had two. One girl was 9 and one was 10. They came in due to RTAs, rushed into theatre. The first one didn't make it, and then the second one came in such an appalling way later, 10 minutes later, that one really left a dramatic scar. And at that point, I think a week after that, I quit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Mark.
No problem.
That. And those kind of traumatic experiences stay with you for life. You'll always remember all of that, and it shows that you care when you remember that sort of stuff.
Absolutely,
you don't just bury it and forget about it. But it must have been really tough on you.
Yeah.
I've had a few experiences like that, seen some stuff. We talked about it a little bit in the break. A friend of mine, I was working as a first aider. He had a seizure, which was quite normal. He'd had a few at work, but this particular one, he fell straight over, hit his head on the corner of a tray and cut his head open, and there was blood all in his eyes, and we didn't know what was going on. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. And he was my mate, and his wife was working there at the same time, and yeah, it was very traumatic, and it sticks with me, and I'll never ever forget the image of seeing all that blood and thinking, has that come through or has that come down?
Yeah.
We couldn't work it out. It was horrible. He's okay. He survived. As far as I know, he's still kicking, which is good. But yeah, those kind of things sort of stick with you, don't they?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
No
And
problem.
yeah, for anyone going through anything like that, especially on the island, we can help. Come along to an event, come and speak to one of us,
Absolutely.
come and have a chat, essentially. Before I end and wrap things up then, Pete, is there anything you wanted to add? Is there any bits that we didn't talk about that you sort of want to touch on?
Just saying about like the traumatic bits. I'd go back to a Duke of Edinburgh hike we were doing in the Lake District. Storm Force 8, something like that, something weird, and it was hammering down.
Yeah.
Literally really bad. So we pitched up, and there was a group of about 12 of us, but we were in like two-man tents each. And I was tenting with like one of my best friends from school at the time, and we were sort of pitching up, and it's got about an hour and a half down the line. Everything was soaking wet. It was freezing, and it was absolutely just battering. The wind was battering and everything. And all of a sudden, I heard this crash behind me. Looked over, and my mate had collapsed. Not only collapsed, he died.
Oh my God.
He stopped breathing, everything. So I performed mouth to mouth and everything, and then got the senior ventures to come and help out. And like, you know, thankfully he was all right.
Wow.
It turned out to be a form of epilepsy, but no one knew anything about.
Blimey.
But so yeah, that's been a real traumatic thing.
How old were you at the time?
I would have been about 15, 16
Blimey.
at the time.
And all of that training and experience you'd had from Cubs.
First aid, getting first aid training and stuff like that. But yeah,
Blimey.
yeah, and ended up missed out on a helicopter ride. Yeah,
Oh, well.
4-wheel drive Land Rover, which was not the most comfortable of things,
Oh,
and a
yeah.
night in Keswick Hospital. So yeah,
Blimey.
and yeah,
Yeah. Sticks with you, doesn't it?
it does stick with you.
Mm,
Yes,
mm.
yeah.
And I believe personally that every single person that we meet has been through something like that, or if they haven't yet, they're very lucky, but they will. And we've just got to keep that kind of thing in mind, haven't we?
Yeah,
We've just got to remember
Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
your problems, as many as there are, and your traumatic experiences, as many as there are. Everyone's got them, and everyone's got a level to it, haven't they? Anything else from you, Mark, before we
That's it, mate. I think, you know, other than, you know, if you got some problems, if you got anxiety, you want to talk, guys, reach out. We're here. You know, come to one of our meetups, come to one of our walk and talks. It's massively beneficial, even just getting your steps in.
Yeah,
You know, just come out, have a chat. It's as simple as that.
exactly. That's brilliant. Guys, thanks so much for coming on this week. Hopefully we'll have you both back at some point. We've been the Mindset Bros. This has been Mindset Bros Unfiltered. Please get on and like, subscribe, and join our channel and never miss an episode. Thanks for listening.